Hello, I'm Taeha, and I have in my hands a Keycult #1 TKL that is in stock, available to purchase from NovelKeys today. That is a crazy statement to say out loud that I think any enthusiast would have drooled over 2 years ago, however. Let's see whether Keycult is so back or not in this video. On September 23rd, NovelKeys announced their strategic partnership with Keycult with a blog post. Now this was a pretty short post, but as I am sponsored by NovelKeys, I was able to probe Big Mike for a little bit more information about what this partnership entails, which I am allowed to share with you all. But first, let's talk a little bit about Keycult, because frankly, there hasn't been much Keycult content on here or on my streams for a while now. There's no denying that the reputation of Keycult has taken a bit of a hit these past several years, especially with regards to how they've handled some of the more customer-oriented aspects of their business. Whether you like Keycult or not, however, there is also no denying the impact Keycult has had on the history of the hobby, culturally and in terms of what they brought to the community with regards to quality and design level. It is not an exaggeration to say that for a very long time, Keycult's prestige and product offerings were in a league of their own that every designer wished they could have achieved. But the hobby is ever changing, and one of the biggest issues Keycult has faced since purchasing their own CNC machines to produce keyboards in-house has been scaling while maintaining the level of quality people have come to expect from their brand. And this is where NovelKeys steps in once again. NovelKeys has proven themselves to be a dependable beacon in this hobby, taking on many doomed projects from various struggling vendors to ensure products make it into the hands of customers who are waiting, and this partnership with Keycult is an attempt to get more Keycults into the hands of the public. I wasn't given full details, but it appears that NovelKeys and Keycult have entered into a licensing agreement of sorts, you could say. Keycult will still continue to do their own thing, making keyboards in-house and running their drops through their website. However, NovelKeys now has access to Keycult designs and will be allowed to use their own supply chain to make in-stock drops of Keycult keyboards to be sold through NovelKeys. This means that the Keycults being sold through NovelKeys will be manufactured through whatever factory NovelKeys works with, and NovelKeys will be handling everything from the manufacturing, the QCing, customer service, and of course distribution. So it is very much a Keycult by design only. Everything else about this will be handled by NovelKeys. Now this is just part of the partnership. As mentioned in the blog post, Keycult will also be assisting NovelKeys with future designs of new keyboards amongst other things. So to kick off this partnership, here we are today with NovelKeys' first limited batch of 496 Keycult #1 TKLs that will be available in 2 colorways, in stock, ready to ship, retailing at $580 US. As NovelKeys is more or less licensing the design from Keycult, the design is basically identical minus a couple trivial differences such as serialization and engravings, and all parts should be interchangeable with Keycult distributed #1 TKLs. The only difference that I could really find was that the NovelKeys version comes with a Yankar designed hot swap PCB as opposed to a Wilba PCB. As both brands' reputations are linked now, I'm sure whatever factory NovelKeys uses has been approved by Keycult, so if you've always wanted a Keycult at retail price, you finally have the option to purchase one without having to wait years or pay flipper prices. As this is a keyboard that has been around for years and the design hasn't changed, there was nothing really to review, so if you are a newcomer to this keyboard, I would encourage you to check out the plethora of existing content on this keyboard design. Whether it's on this channel or someone else's, I'll have some link down below in the description box. I will, however, leave you with a typing test and my final thoughts on this partnership after this word from today's sponsor, Bamboo Labs. So after seeing my latest studio tour, Bamboo Labs actually reached out and was kind enough to send me their latest entry-level 3D printer, the A1. Now I've been using their highest end model, the X1C, for a couple of months now, and I've had no issues using either of these machines. Both of them, printing with them has been a breeze, honestly. They're both practically plug and play, especially if you pair them with Bamboo Labs' own filaments. However, the A1 has pleasantly surprised me with how comparable the performance is to the X1C for a fraction of the price. And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I had 3 cats, I probably would save myself some money and buy the A1 instead if I were to start over on my 3D printing journey. For my needs at least, as someone who just occasionally has been printing various things for fun and personal use around the house. The only major differences between the two I'd say are that the X1C can print a tiny bit faster and a wider range of materials, but if you don't plan on printing with anything other than PLA, which is what most people print with, and you don't need an enclosed system to prevent your kids or pets from messing with your prints, in terms of print quality, the A1 is about 99% as good as the X1C behind me. Now, one of the reasons why you as a keyboard enthusiast might be interested in a 3D printer such as the A1 is because you can 3D print many components of a keyboard, whether it be for quick prototyping or just to print various keyboard parts such as keycaps or plates, keyboard components, accents, or even various tools, you name it. Keycult, as well as many other brands, provides their plate files publicly for non-commercial use. So I printed a plate for the #1 TKL, which you will be able to hear the typing test of after this message. The A1 supports a print volume of 256 millimeters cubed, so I did have to print the plate in two pieces and kind of weld them together, but you could easily print keycaps, various tools and accents in one piece depending on the size. Lately, with how easy companies like Bamboo Labs have made 3D printing accessible, I've been seeing a lot more 3D printed designs and products at keyboard meetups. So if you'd like to dive into the world of 3D printing, look no further than the A1 from Bamboo Labs and order yours today at bamboolab.com. So, is Keycult so back? I think yes and no. It's great to see that more Keycults will be available at retail to the general public as they still command a premium in the aftermarket. But on the one hand, the #1 TKL is still a great looking keyboard that feels great to type on, that I think is still a relevant option to purchase today. But on the other hand, as someone who's been around since this design was launched back in 2017, I can't help but feel that I would have liked something maybe a little bit different and refreshing from Keycult after all this time. Now, I know that this is just their first step into their partnership with NovelKeys, so maybe that's too much to expect. And while this design was legendary for its era, times are different now, and there are many great derivative options that hold their own. But I get it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and the #1 TKL is still an iconic keyboard design that I think still looks beautiful today. NovelKeys has confirmed that future batches will include different colors, designs, as well as materials, and while they won't fully rule out rerunning a previous batch, they are going to try their best to make each batch different and fresh. As a fan of Keycult, I do hope that with time they will bring new innovative designs to kind of reclaim their throne, and I do want to root for their success, but building reputation takes time, and hopefully this partnership with NovelKeys ends up taking both brands to new heights for the hobby. At the end of the day, I do think that this is still an overall win for us customers, as it finally makes Keycults more accessible, and hopefully with scale we can even start to see these being offered at retail for perhaps a lower price than what we're used to with Keycults. That's it for this video. If you'd like to help support the channel, consider purchasing the Taeha Types merch on my website. And until next time, see ya nerds.